Hello everyone and welcome back to the Journey to Grandmaster series. I'm Puzzle, and in today's video we're going to be talking about Paragon upgrades, what exactly do they provide to your heroes, and also some commonly used arena defenses and offenses you can try, as well as the Supreme Arena defenses I am currently running. So I want to show you guys a quick tier list I have made for Paragon priority. The heroes who are in the S and S plus tier are going to be the most important heroes you want to take in the Paragon Ascensions in order to dominate in PvP. The heroes who are lower down, it will be up to you depending on how much you use them in your various PvP teams, whether you want to upgrade them or not. Here we have Rowan, and he is currently at Paragon 1. When we upgrade him to Paragon 2, these are going to be the change to his stats. First of all, he is going to increase in 8 of the different rivalry stats as you see here, and he will also increase in his basic stats. The basic stats will be around about a 2.5% increase to all of his stats. Rivalry stats are going to be exclusive to PvP. Energy regen reduction is going to reduce the amount of energy the target recovers by 1% when receiving damage from the unit, and energy on hit is going to increase the amount of energy the unit recovers by 1% when receiving damage. Debuff focus is going to increase the duration of debuffs inflicted by the unit by 1%, and resilience is going to reduce the duration of most debuffs inflicted on the unit by 1%. Damage boost is going to increase the damage dealt by this unit to enemy heroes, and damage reduction is going to reduce the damage taken from enemies onto this hero themselves. Inspiration is going to be a team-wide summed up stat that is going to increase all allies' healing effects, shield value, extra energy gains, and buff effects by 1% per point of inspiration. Intimidation is going to reduce all enemies' healing effects, shield value, extra energy gains, and buff effects by 1%. So with all of that covered, this really shows you that it is going to be a priority to upgrade your key PvP heroes who you like to use in Arena and Supreme Arena in the Paragon tiers, because at a higher Paragon Ascension, they're going to have bonus rivalry stats which are going to apply to all PvP game modes such as Arena, Supreme Arena, and Clash Fronts, to name a few. So we're going to lead it off with a team formation that many of you are probably aware of, using Ulmus and Eironn together. This is a heavy crowd control oriented nuking comp, and a lot of people would run this as one of their first offense and arena defense options. It is very strong given if the opponent doesn't have Lily May on their team. The problem comes when Lily May is on the opposing team, because then she can immediately interrupt your Eironn and you're not going to have that wombo combo potential from the beginning of the match. But either way, if you find a defense in Arena that doesn't have Lily May on it, you should always think about using some sort of Eironn-Ulmus combo. It doesn't have to be all of these specific heroes. They also do very well with Bonnie, or for example even Rowan, to boost the energy and cast a second ultimate before the opponent can even stabilize. And you can even run, for example, a damage dealer like Parissa if you don't have Arden built. This is another good team option. Okay, now looking at another team, when you move down the line, one option is Scarlita-Stall. Now this is probably going to be for the global launch players who did invest into Scarlita, because now Scarlita isn't the most recommended hero to be investing into. But if you do have her, she is a major still kill threat that you can run on an arena team, either on offense or on defense. The idea behind this team comp is Haywin to cast her ultimate, giving your team damage reduction and healing. Damien will keep respawning his toy chariot even if he does go down. Thorin has multiple lives, he is not going to be dying anytime soon, which is all going to allow Scarlita to come down and deal her true damage by having enough surviving allies and knock enemies off the board. This is the whole team comp. However, the problem with a team like this is you can run the team that we just showed you before this, the Eironn-Ulmus nuke team, and with enough power you can just burst through this team. Haywin will not be able to survive, Damien his toy chariot will go down, and Arden or whatever hero you have in the back is going to die. So definitely there are some modifications. You can replace Arden for Lily May, and that would strengthen this team. However, it still has the same sort of issues, which are if the opponent has too much damage at the beginning of the match, they will be able to kill your Haywin, and then you will not be able to bounce back from that. So this is a team which has some use in Arena, however eventually it will be phased out and you will try to upgrade to even better team options. Moving on to another team. Now we are going to come to the Phraesto-Stall-ish oriented teams with a good defensive hero like Lily-Mae and Tasi for solo potential at the end. This can be a great team if you have these heroes built up. Main Phraesto, I like to have in front of Tasi for energy generation so she can cast her ultimate sooner, and Illusion in front of Lily-Mae. You have a bunch of healing with Damien and Ludovic. Your team should not be dying. The only real risk of a hero dying here, it could be potentially Ludovic, because he doesn't have innate survivability in his kit, but the other heroes are very difficult to kill. And the idea is your Lily-Mae will interrupt any key ultimates of the opponent, and eventually Tasi will charge up her energy enough and kill the enemy team with her ultimate, and she has a lot of solo potential. So this can be a strong team option if you have these heroes built up and invested into, which a lot of these heroes, for example Phraesto, Lily-Mae, and Ludovic, are all going to be key priorities for your Dream Realm that you'll be able to use well here as well. Now, again, the issue with a team like this is it kind of lacks damage output, and Ludovic is the weak link. If you're able to kill Ludovic and you have more damage on your team, the opponent is going to be able to defeat a team like this. So let's go ahead and take a look at another team option. We have Talene-Bonnie. Now this is a team which I consider to be one of the top in the meta right now. You have a lot of damage output with Talene, with Bonnie. You have the debuffs from Bonnie that will spread onto the enemy team. You have Lily-Mae to interrupt an enemy ultimate. You have Damien, who is he's not easy to kill. That is the difference between Damien and Ludovic. Ludovic can be killable. Damien can keep respawning himself, and Talene can keep reviving herself. Phraestos are really tanky, especially on the same row. So a team like this is very effective for Arena. Of course, there are counters. Dun-Dionel can be a potential counter to this team by denying your own ultimate cast and having enough firepower to kill the Bonnie in the back and even kill the Lily-Mae, because the main issue with a team like this is Bonnie and Lily-Mae. If they are killed, then your team loses a lot of its effectiveness. Also, another counter to this would be Sylvina and Vala trying to kill the Bonnie. That is another option, and people have tried to do that in order to counter a team like this. Okay, another team option is Dunlinger and Dionel. Now this is generally a team reserved for offense because it is stronger on offense. On defense though, with high enough investment and high enough Paragon levels, it can also be kind of unbeatable. So the idea behind Dunlinger and Dionel is that Dunlinger will prevent the enemy from casting their ultimates, but still allow your own Dionel to cast his ultimate. You have enough buffers, Smokey and Leica, to immediately buff up Dionel from the first second of the match to max out his intoxication stacks so that he can deal his AoE true damage. And his arrows are going to be hitting as hard as possible thanks to the fact that he is buffed up as much as possible. And then you finally have Lily-Mae, which is always a great option onto any team. It gives a bit more kill threat to the team and also prevents the enemy from casting any key ultimate. So overall, this is a very strong team with the lightning spell on Dionel. That is very important so that he can be unaffected and he cannot be controlled at the beginning of the match. Now the way to counter a team like this is, again, you could try Sylvina Vala jumping onto the Dionel and killing him. However, the issue with that is if the team is too tanky and Dionel is not killable, it is going to backfire and you're going to end up losing with a team like that. And that is why Paragon upgrades are going to make a pretty big difference onto this team. So here we have an experimental team with the twins. I think it's really important in any twins comp to be running a healer like Ludovic who can heal from the first second of the match to sustain the twins, because my biggest problem with the twins, Elijah and Lila, is that they can die early on in the fight due to the fact that they are two heroes on the field, and so any AoE damage source is going to hit them double as hard of any other hero because both of them will be taking the damage and they have a shared HP pool. But I have found that with Ludovic, he's a great healer for them and can allow them to sustain long enough to cast their first ultimate, and then it gives your whole team a massive haste buff. I also like Talene as a major damage source here, and Lily-Mae both being buffed up by the stellar bond linkage of the twins to power them up even further. So I think this is another great team that you can try on defense, and overall it is very strong. Okay, now taking a look at Supreme Arena, I want to show you which teams I'm running in Supreme Arena currently and which teams I've had the most success with. So the major difference in Supreme Arena is that when you have 3 of the same faction deployed, you're going to activate a faction talent. The faction talent is going to increase the stats of your hero, but also is going to provide a specific faction talent buff tile where, for example, Tasi is placed right now to gain even bonus effects. So for example, for the Mauler faction talents this season, the Prime Carrier who is on this faction talent buff tile will teleport next to the enemy who dealt the most damage and pursue them. So a team like this is a strong option where you have a Mauler team with a lot of heroes who are going to be running into melee range of the opponent, such as Sonya, Mikola, Shakira, and even Tasi, who is for the most part of the fight going to be nearby enemy units up in the front line. Shakira is going to cast his ultimate, providing the damage reduction and haste as well as attack buff for your frontline allies, allowing everyone to survive better. Sonya works well in a comp like this because she's going to give stat buffs to both the Mikola and Shakira to allow them to survive for longer. And the whole idea behind this comp is allowing Sonya to get one ultimate cast off, because then her buffs will become permanent onto her allies, as well as giving damage reduction to herself and her 2 allies. And then Tasi is your major kill threat, because in any Supreme Arena team, it is very important that you have a hero who is going to be your win potential. And Tasi is a hero who on her own, with the buffs provided from these other allies, is going to be able to kill all of the enemy units. And we also have another kill threat of Odie behind the barricade, who will be firing off from the beginning of the battle and trying to work down enemies one by one. Another team which I've had success with is this team here, which is going to be very similar to the team I showed you in the final arena team comp. And actually, I am thinking I would prefer to have Lily May here, linked in the Stellar Bond, and Ludovic behind the Illusion Phraesto. With this team, we have the Hypogean Celestial faction talent activated, and this is going to give energy restoration to the Prime Carrier, which is going to be the Elijah, allowing them to cast their ultimate even more quickly in the match, which is really important because, like we mentioned, the major strength of the Elijah and Lila is when they can cast their ultimate, then you get the haste buff for all of your allies, and it gives your whole team a huge advantage to cast your skills more frequently and even have a higher casting of your normal attacks. We've also gone for the overcharge spell because this is going to give even more energy to the Elijah in the back, and also some healing, some HP recovery, which is important for them. Otherwise, we have Ludovic for the healing and Talene and Lily May for the kill threat. And this is a very strong team and also quite stall heavy as well. It will be difficult for the opponent to try and burst through a team like this, even with Dun-Dionel, due to all of the immediate healing we have from Ludovic from second 1. And then finally, Team 3. I like this team as well. This is going to take a good advantage of Harak, because Harak is a hero that once he gets a few kills, he really starts dominating the match. But the biggest issue with him is if he doesn't get a kill early on, he is susceptible to dying because he has to go up into melee range. He doesn't have great HP stats up until he starts getting some kills. And so that is why we've gone Thorin Soul Pact of the Harak to reduce the damage taken by him. We have Damien Charm effect onto the Harak as well, which is going to give a bonus shield and energy on hit for the Harak. So Harak is very well protected in a team like this. And then we have Lenya, who is going to be a great ally to Harak because Harak wants to get kills. Lenya from second 1 of the match is going to begin dealing damage to the opponent, and that is going to set up a kill for the Harak potentially. And then once he gets that 1 kill, he gains a massive amount of stats as well as HP recovery at his Supreme Plus and or exclusive equipment plus 15, and at his Supreme Plus, once he begins casting ultimate and after 2 kill stacks, he is going to get an energy refund and he will be able to solo the team from that point on. We also have Haywin, who hopefully will be able to cast her ultimate, healing up and protecting the Harak further and giving him the damage reduction buff. We have the Harmonic spell because I think it is a really good choice in a team like this. The Harmonic spell gives you attack and haste, and it gives more of a haste buff if your allies are above 50% health. And in a team like this, with the protection on Harak and the concealed state of Lenya, it will most likely be able to activate. And as for the Wilder faction talent, it will provide a concealed state to the ally positioned on the Prime Carrier buff tile, and that is going to be Lenya, providing them invincibility and also enhancing damage from their non-ultimate skills, which is great for Lenya, allowing her to deal even more damage from the beginning of the match. So with all of that covered, these are my key tips for PvP, both Arena and Supreme Arena. all the commonly used heroes that you have seen in these different team comps. These are going to be good for you to invest into and even upgrade with their exclusive equipment, as well as eventually even upgrade in Paragon tiers to give them more rivalry stats to perform even better in PvP. But anyway guys, that is going to be it for this video. Thank you all so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this and you benefited some from this. Feel free to share your thoughts in the comment section down below. And goodbye everyone. Thank you for watching, and I will see you next time.